Yes or no? This is it. If the first word out of your mouth isn't yes or no, you're gone forever. Hey, Matt, how you doing this fine evening?
I'm doing well, Rob. How are you today?
Good. Did you vote for Joe Biden?
That doesn't matter as much as the point I'm
Did,
making. The
you
point I'm
could you could
making,
make it. You can make an argument. That's fine. Everyone's going to say, of course, it's expected that you'll make an argument, but you could address the question first. My question is, did you vote for Joe Biden?
everybody votes with
That's not
the
an
the
answer to the
nation
question.
in
Why don't
mind.
you?
Well,
Why
I'm
don't
gonna
you?
answer the question.
Why don't you give a yes or a no, and then you can expound. Did you vote for Joe Biden?
I chose the lesser of two evils, like
So
many people do. Like many people
my
do. I
that's I
vote.
noticed once more that wasn't an answer to the question. So I'll ask the question again. Did you vote for Joe Biden? Then you can explain your decision, but go ahead.
I made the decision to vote for the lesser. What everybody
I notice again that that wasn't an answer to the question. Now, someone who's arguing in good faith would say something like this. Yes, I voted for Joe Biden because I thought it was the lesser of two evils. What they wouldn't do is refuse to answer the question and then allow us to try to draw implicit sort of what you're trying to say without saying it so that you could weasel out later if I pin you to it. So I'll ask you the question again. Did you vote for Joe Biden?
Yes, like many people do, I voted for the lesser of two evils. What everybody does is based on the information that they have. And yeah, I voted for Joe Biden just because I thought he was the lesser of the two evils. But now the point I'm making is that there's a difference in supporting someone with, you know, making fun, making light of a situation. And not only that, you're elevating Trump and promoting these songs, especially after the recent news that that was released. You're doing more than what I suggest, which is condemn it, or you can even stay neutral. But you're going beyond that. You're supporting. Even in light of the, like I said, the recent news,
What
you
news? What news?
the Trump being on Epstein's files
So just to be
on.
clear, everyone who's on the files, anyone who ever is in any of those files, even if it's just they saw him at a public party, they rode in the plane once, all of them are, in your words, uh, I'll be careful for terms of service, but you're saying that those people have committed the most grotesque sexual abuses against children, every single one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I
Okay.
would say that.
Well, I'll tell you. So let me explain the difference between me and you. I don't think that anyone who's on anything that's in any of those paperworks committed those abuses. I don't believe Trump did that. But I'll ask you now that so therefore I don't think that I'm a monster supporting someone that I believe engaged in those heinous actions. I think we could all see that no proof of that has been offered whatsoever, despite what your personal feelings will be. But now I answered your question, or I answered your point. I'll ask you a question now, a little quid pro quo. Did you believe that Joe Biden committed heinous sexual crimes against children like his daughter, and that it was strongly suggested so from the sniffing of children? Did you believe that?
I mean, first let me differentiate between being in pictures with someone and being on a list on a flight log and being on these Epstein
Why
files.
can't you? Why can't you
I
answer? Why
just
can't you answer the question and then
I
go
just
back to
wanted
making
to
a point?
clear up.
That's sort of the nature of a quid pro quo, right? So you answer the question that I just offered, and then you could say, "Now I would go back to my line of questioning." That seems eminently fair. So again, did you believe that Joe Biden? We had, for example, the diary of his daughter saying that he was inappropriate with her sexually in showers, which damaged her for life. We saw public evidence of him being inappropriate with children, including uncomfortably sniffing their hair, etc. Behavior when he did it to adult women, he later admitted, and it was accused of being tantamount to sexual harassment. And he admitted that he needed to change for the better. So, did you believe the stories about Joe Biden and that he was possibly a monster in a sexual way with children? Did you believe that?
I just wanted to clear up my stance. But
I,
yeah,
I mean, again, we'll mute you here for a second, and I'll ask you again. Obviously, I'm going to give you time unfettered, just like I did with your last point. I'm going to allow you to have time unfettered. I think that it's eminently fair that you get to make a point or ask a question. I leave you do that, and then you respond when I ask you a question. I don't think that's unreasonable. So I again ask the question: did you believe the stories like Ashley Biden's story and the images that you could see in real time of Joe Biden being sexually aggressive towards children? Did you believe that, yes or no? And then you can expound on your answer.
I'm not going to defend what Joe Biden did. No, but
I noticed once more that you didn't answer the question. You saying that you're not defending what Joe Biden did is a complete non sequitur to the specific question I asked. It seems that you have an inability to directly respond to a question. Now, that seems to me to be indicative of either one, very low intelligence on your part, or second, that you're being bad faith, and that you know that the answer you give could be used to interrogate you as you've sought to interrogate me. I open myself out there and say exactly what I believe. I would expect if you have a criticism of me based on my beliefs, that you would do me the same courtesy if you're calling in. I will ask you once more the question. Did you believe that Joe Biden was inappropriate with children in a sexual manner based on the stories that were out before, based on the stories of him in his daughter's diary and the images we could see of how he was behaving with children? You can answer with a yes, no, and then expound. Not, I'm not supporting what Joe Biden did. That's not an answer.
Said I'm not going to defend him. I mean, that's basically the same answer. You know, me not defending him is me saying
That's not the same answer. It's not even close to the same answer. That would be like if you asked me, do you believe what Trump did these horrible abuses to children? I say, I don't defend Trump. That's not an answer. You would say, okay, but I'm not getting, are you saying that you believe Trump did this? You understand that? That's why I'm asking you, do you believe that Biden did that shit? Yes or no?
do I believe that Joe Biden, you know, sniffed kids? I mean, it's on. There's footage, so of course I believe yes. And do I think it's inappropriate? Yes. Um,
That wasn't the question that I asked. I asked, given the evidence that we saw, including evidence from his daughter, right, that said that he was inappropriate with her in a sexual nature while taking showers that damaged her sexually for life, and in conjunction with that evidence that saw that he was inappropriate with behavior that with adults we said was sexual. Did you believe that he committed similar horrible sexual abuses against children that you're claiming you believe about Donald Trump? That's the question, not do I believe he sniffed kids? If you don't think he did, say no. I don't believe he did those things. See how easy it is?
you asked about both situations: the him sniffing kids and his daughter bathing with him or whatever. Now, yes, like I fully condemn him doing both of those things, but there's a huge difference.
That wasn't the question. You condemning isn't whether or not you believe that they happened. Do you believe he committed sexual abuses against children? Yes or no? Why is it so hard for you to answer this?
I think there's a big difference in somebody, a parent bathing with their child, and somebody actually, you know, having sexual intercourse on a private island and being associated.
I noticed that you didn't answer the question once more. We'll give you one last chance and then we'll be happy to see you go. Do you believe that he committed sexual abuses against children? Yes or no?
Sniffing is, I guess you can
You're
consider
on your way
sniffing.
out. You're on your way out. I just
What do you
want to
mean?
let you
I'm
know
answering the
you're
question.
once more equivocating and not answering.
I'm answering the question. Sniffing, I guess, can be argued that yes, it can be abusive. You know, I'll give you that. Sure, I'll give that concession. But I
What
don't think
about that? Wasn't it?
I
I'm
don't
going
think
to
that
be generous and give you one last chance here. One last chance. I didn't just say sniffing, did I? I know that you're trying to downplay it. I see that you're trying. I said, do you believe he committed sexual abuses against children? I outlined two specific scenarios. There, he left. There you have it. Now, the difference between me and X is he just admitted that he believed that there was some sexual abuses that Joe Biden committed against children, which he believed and he voted for him. Unlike me, I do not believe that Donald Trump committed sexual abuses against children. And so the monster is that guy. Imagine being a guy that fully believed, saw evidence with your own eyes that you thought that Joe Biden was sexually abusing children in some way and said, I'm still going to vote for him. And then having the balls to accuse other people of behaving like him. The reason that X thinks that anyone that would have fun with the Trump Elon song must think that they're supporting sexual abuses against children is because that's what X did. That's what he did. He voted for it. And then he ran like a bitch. He said, should be an easy win. That's what he said. Now, did I give him a long chance to talk after he answered my initial question? Yep. Then he was incapable of answering the second question. How hard would this have been? No, I don't think he did commit those abuses. While he may have made children feel uncomfortable, I don't feel that he committed. See how hard that would have been? But no, he couldn't do it. Because the truth is, X wants to cover up for the fact that he knowingly voted for someone that, in his own words, believed committed sexual abuses against children. Then he ran away like a bitch once he was being exposed for the monster he is. So just know when these people say, ugh, what's his proof, by the way? Then he tried to equivocate. Well, actually, you know, what Biden did, what I saw with my own eyes, what Biden did, that's not as bad as Trump having intercourse with children. Can you show me the proof of that? Can you show me that? Anyone? Can anyone show me the proof of that? Why do these dumbasses try to call in here? Don't they know they're just going to get embarrassed? Hello, Matt. Triple X or quadruple X, same dude?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask the question again. We can start where we left off. Do you believe that Joe Biden, given the evidence that we talked about that you could publicly see, engaged in inappropriate sexual activity with children?
Again, there's a big difference in.
I noticed once more that you were incapable of answering the question. You could equivocate afterwards. The question I asked you was very simple. I'll ask again. Do you believe that Joe Biden engaged in inappropriate sexual activity with children? Yes or no? And then you could equivocate.
Yes.
Go ahead.
In my opinion, it's inappropriate to bathe with your daughter when she's, whatever age she was, 13, 14, whatever age it was. But you're ignoring the blatant whataboutism that you're doing here to pivot away from the blatant misconduct with underage, um, with people who aren't your your children. I'm not saying that it's okay to abuse your children, but I'm saying that there's a big difference in bathing with your daughter, somebody who isn't a stranger, who isn't, again, I'm not condoning, bathing with your children at such a advanced age, but there may be, some mental um challenges with, I don't know the Biden family, I don't know if the his daughter had some kind of mental acuities, or I'm just trying to point out that there's a big difference in the family dynamics that could be going on, and versus going to an island with a known file and engaging in sexual
Don't
activities
use
with
don't
very.
hey, real quick, don't use that word because it could violate TOS. I'm not accusing you of doing it on purpose, but just be careful about using that particular word. That's why people
Okay,
say things like
okay,
PDF. That's all. But go ahead, you can
sorry.
finish your point. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Thanks. For the reason that I bring this up is that you're just blatantly pivoting away from any misconduct that Trump may be involved in. The whataboutism is kind of um is silly in my opinion, because like I said, there's a big difference in what Biden has done. Yes, sniffing children is not okay. It's not cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think a majority of the public would say that it is inappropriate. But the other half would say that it's not actual abuse. It's not actual. It's inappropriate, definitely. But whether it crosses over to abuse is it's up for debate. And I think, and if you were to poll the public, I think people would say that yeah, there's levels to it. There's still a difference here.
Okay. First off, it doesn't matter what the public would say. You already conceded that you feel that this was inappropriate sexual behavior with
Definitely.
children. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what the rest of the world thinks. You yourself saw a man, Joe Biden, engaged in inappropriate sexual behavior with children, and you still chose to support him and vote for him. The difference between you and me is I do not believe that Donald Trump engaged in inappropriate sexual behavior with children. So before we get to what proof we have against Donald Trump, I want to ask you, is your argument that when you voted in 2020, you knew that you saw proof that Trump was, quote, in the Epstein files? Is that what your claim is?
Not proof, but I did see the images of Trump partying with Epstein. I saw the possibility that he was on a flight log. I saw that he bragged about women by the pussy or by the p word. And I've heard Sam Harris speak on this, saying that Trump would go into underage beauty pageant changing rooms, and ogle, at the children, to use Sam's verbiage.
Okay, so you didn't have proof that he was on the Epstein logs. When did you hear Sam Harris make this claim about Trump going into beauty pageants?
When he had a debate with Ben Shapiro, with I think it was on with Blair White, I believe, or
What year was that?
um, I believe it was last. It was before the election. It was definitely before the election.
Before the 2020 election?
No, it was before this previous election. But
Okay.
I mean, that Sam Harris thing. Um, I had also heard other people mention that before, but it wasn't until rumors that
What
Trump
proof did you
had
have that
engaged
Donald
in,
what proof did you have before the 2020 election that Donald Trump engaged in inappropriate sexual actions with children? What proof did you have before the 2020 election?
well, the being civilly liable for sexual assault.
When was he found civilly liable for sexual assault? Before the 2020 election?
Well, there was still a lot of valid evidence pointing at the.
What evidence? What evidence? I asked you that question specifically. So far, you've responded with things that you didn't learn about until after the 2020 election. I'll ask you again. What evidence do you have specifically that suggested that Donald Trump engaged in inappropriate sexual activity with children prior to the 2020 election?
Wait, hang on a second, Rob. I don't know why I'm on trial here right now. The reason for this conversation.
I'll ask the question to you again. I've given you large swaths of time to talk uninterrupted. It seems that that's quite generous. I'll ask you the question specifically because the point we're getting to is you made a conscious decision in 2020 to vote for someone who, in your own words, you knew engaged in inappropriate sexual activity with children. Now, unless you could prove that Trump did the same, it would seem like you're a fucking monster. So I again ask you, give me the proof that you had prior to the 2020 election that Trump engaged in inappropriate sexual activity with children.
You're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that I knew that he had engaged in mis.
I'll ask you the question again. You can try to equivocate. We'll go back to the tape after you're off. You absolutely said it's the reason that now does everyone understand why I demanded he answer that question like 15 times that he wouldn't? Because I told you what he would do. He would say, no, no, no. He would change his answer once we got to the punchline. So he said outright, after asking him about 15 times, he finally answered and said, yes, I believe Joe Biden engaged in inappropriate sexual activity with children. Great. Now we got that. He's just saying he voted for the lesser of two evils. Well, then you would have to be able to articulate that Donald Trump also engaged in inappropriate sexual activity with children during that 2020 election, which is why you chose to vote for Biden. Unless you want to argue that the other things that Trump did were worse than engaging in inappropriate sexual activity with children. So I again get back to the question that he's once more going to refuse to answer as soon as I ask him again. What evidence do you have that Donald Trump engaged in inappropriate sexual activity with children before the 2020 election?
I want to remind you, Rob, that I'm calling because you are playing songs.
I'll ask again, last chance. You're booted from the channel forever if you're incapable of answering. What evidence do you have that Donald Trump engaged in inappropriate sexual activity with children before your vote in the 2020 election? If your answer is, I have none, but Rob, now I would like to make a point against you. By all means, say that. Perfectly reasonable.
The rumors of him going into the beauty pageant changing rooms is.
Who did you said you heard those from Sam Harris?
Yeah,
after the election, on his debate with Blair White after the 2020 election.
That's when it was confirmed. And I know various news stories, and I know none of them were verified until after the 2020 election. But Rob, let me remind you that the reason I'm calling is because you're playing songs about Trump even after he was already verified to be engaging in this inappropriate behavior. You're playing songs about him. I'm remaining neutral and I'm condemning it as well. But you're doing the complete opposite. and that's the reason for the conversation at the moment. Not me and why I voted, or it's nothing personal with me. It's about what's currently going on, and you shielding your eyes, and not only shielding your eyes, but you're actually still playing songs, making light of the situation.
Not making light of the situation, I do not believe that Donald Trump engaged in inappropriate sexual activity with children. I'll repeat it. There's no evidence of such. You just have the word of Elon Musk, who I'm sure you would have never believed before today if he said other things. Do you believe when Elon Musk says that there were billions upon billions of dollars of waste? A simple yes, no will suffice.
Do I believe Elon Musk when he says that there was billions of dollars of waste?
That he found, yes. Do you believe him? Why can't
Yeah, I
you
mean,
just answer?
it's not
Okay,
trillions, it's
yes.
not trillions, some billions.
Oh, okay, so great. You do believe it. So you believe everything Elon Musk says, regardless if he provides you evidence.
That's not what I said. I said that
Okay, great.
there is evidence to say that he did find some billions of dollars worth
Cool.
of funding
Nonetheless,
that
then I refine my question. The reason I asked that question was I assumed you would say no. I'm not believing that all the waste that Elon Musk claimed was actual waste. Most Democrats would say that, or most people that dislike Trump. I'm happy to hear that you are saying that every single thing Elon Musk claimed that he found is waste that you believe. Great, good to hear
I'm
that.
not saying that it is.
Nonetheless, oh, so you don't believe some of the stuff he said? Why not?
Um, what I think, and I don't know why I'm on trial here, but I do believe that he found some waste. Maybe not the billions that he's
That's not the
claiming.
question. I'll ask you again. Now you're doing equivocating. Do you believe when Elon Musk, every time he said, even if he doesn't show you evidence, when he said that he saw signs of waste? Yes or no? That'll suffice. If your answer is, I don't believe all of it, so no, fine. That could be your answer. You could say, no, I don't believe him every single thing that he said. I do believe he probably found something, but I'm not taking him at face value of everything he said. Why am I better at arguing your position than you? Why are you incapable of answering yes, no questions?
That's exactly what I said. That he may have found some millions, some billions. I don't take his full word, and I think it's a
Great. Last question. Why do you take his full word when it comes to your interpretation that what he said means that Donald Trump sexual assaulted children?
because I don't think this. I've tried to accept the possibility that this could all be just, theater, just just in a way to gain some clout. But no, I mean, there's no way this is made up. And I don't think Elon would make such a claim
So it
without,
should say, I don't think Elon would make a claim about waste if it wasn't 100% true. Why do you think he would make that claim that's not 100% true?
because he's trying to save face for his whole Doge fiasco. He's trying to claim as much as he can. But I don't. I think he found some, not as much as he says.
It seems
Because a lot
convenient.
of it is based off of
Can I
a
tell
lot
you
of
what
it
it
is based
seems?
off his opinion. Like
Can
what
I
you
tell
think is
you what
race
it?
and what is
Can I
not.
tell you? Can I tell you what it sounds like you're doing? It sounds like you're conveniently saying, when it's against my side, I don't trust what Elon Musk says. But when it benefits my side, I do trust what Elon Musk says. That's what it sounds like you're doing.
No, no, I'm trying to be fair here.
No, you're not.
I mean,
You're not at all. Of
so
course you're
because
not.
I'm saying that there's a chance that the 175 billion that he says he saved is not, and that I'm not fully on board with that, because like I said, it is a lot. What fraud, what constitutes fraud
What
is
does
really
this
based
answer
off
have to do with anything? What
opinion.
does this answer have to do with anything?
What constitutes
If you
as
let's
waste.
ask this, let's get to brass tacks. Let's answer this. Ask this question. If Elon Musk came out today and said, "Look, I'm mad at Trump, but I'll tell you this: I looked at the Epstein files and Trump's not on it anywhere," would you say good enough for me? I believe him. Would you say that?
No, because there's already some evidence pointing, the flight logs. There's some evidence already
Mm-hmm.
pointing
Mm-hmm.
to the fact that they were partying in the past. There's already some evidence that points towards
Mm-hmm.
that
So
being a
if you so
reality.
you completely trust Elon Musk when he says Trump bad, but you would not completely trust him if he says Trump good. In the exact same circumstances, providing the exact same evidence, which is none.
When it's added, when it's in combination with the previous rumors, or not just rumors. There's actual footage of this, and there's actual documentation of this in combination with Elon's word. It definitely does make it more valid.
What if
And
what Elon's word is just, yeah, those photos that we've seen before with him with Epstein and the flight log that he was on a plane one time, like, but he didn't go to his island. What if that's all that's in the files? Is that still enough proof for you that Donald Trump sexually assaulted children?
ask that again. If he's actually on those files, is that
You
full?
said that you were
That's
already aware of evidence with Donald Trump's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. You said it was some photos we've seen with him with Epstein at a party, and that I'm assuming you're sort of mealy-mouthed about it, but I'm assuming you're talking about claims that he was one time on Epstein's plane where he rode Epstein's plane to another airport and not to Epstein Island. It would be entirely accurate if Musk said Trump was in the Epstein files, that it could just be those two things. If it is just those two things, is that enough proof for you that Donald Trump sexually assaulted children?
What would convince you, Rob? Do you actually need him actually having intercourse?
I noticed that that wasn't an answer to the question, as you're wont to do throughout this entire conversation. I'll ask you again the question instead of trending to some non sequitur. If all that's in those files is what we already knew, that he was on a plane once and that there was a picture of him taken at a party with Epstein, is that enough proof to you that Donald Trump sexually assaulted children? A yes, no will suffice, and then I'll give you a chance to expound as I have every time.
I think it would be difficult to actually have footage of him abusing.
I noticed that that once more was not an answer. This is your last chance, and then you're banned from the channel for out time. I'll ask you one more time. I didn't say, well, wait a minute, I would need this amount of proof, and you would say that's unreasonable. I asked you. You are the person that says that you currently have evidence, that you are convinced that Donald Trump sexually assaulted children. It seemed to be that it was because of what Elon Musk said. Now you're saying, well, the reason I believe Elon was because publicly available evidence. I say, isn't it true? Couldn't it be true that when Elon says Trump's in those files, that those files could just contain the publicly available evidence that you've already seen, which is just Trump one time took a picture with Epstein and Trump one time was on a plane with Epstein. If that's all that's in the files, would that be enough for you to say that that's proof that Donald Trump sexually assaulted a child?
It would well, obviously validate. It would verify that that happened. It would validate that there were.
We'll give you one more chance. This is it. I'm done fucking around. I don't want you here. Well, it would validate that one time Trump did me Epstein. It would validate that. You made a definitive claim that you are convinced that you've seen evidence that Donald Trump sexually assaulted a child. Do you think if the evidence in the Epstein files are merely the picture that we've all seen at a party one time with Trump with Epstein and Trump flying on a plane one time with Epstein, is that enough proof for you that Donald Trump sexually assaulted a child? Yes or no? This is it. If the first fucking word out of your mouth isn't yes or no, you're gone forever.
I didn't make that claim, by the way. Okay, Rob, you're arguing against a position.
It's real simple. He says, I've seen the proof. I've seen the proof that Donald Trump sexually assaulted children. Really, what's the proof? Didn't you hear what Musk said? Yeah, Musk just said, why do you believe Musk? Well, because I've seen other evidence. Okay, well, what if that's the only evidence and that's what Musk is talking about? Well, what would it require, Rob? You to see video evidence? No, it's not the question. You're making the claim. This guy's claim is, Rob, you're a monster because now we definitively know that Trump sexually assaulted a child. We know it. And yet you put a song out making light of the fact that Trump and Elon are fighting. What's your proof? He can't give proof.